everybody, and welcome to Tony the Mole Adams YouTube channel. Bad news for you. You can actually see me more clearly than you have in the past, which is going to scare your kids. Right, we've got a new setup because got a new camera, got a new mic, so we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed. How are you, Tony?
Yeah, doing well, Steve. Looking forward to dual magic rounds. Isn't it going to be big?
It is, and the weather's lovely here. I'm going up on Thursday night, so I've got a night up there. There's a lower division game on Friday. May or may not go to that, and then as a whole weekend of rugby league. So really looking forward to that. Now we're going to go back to what we did a couple of months ago, where we had little interviews at the start of the show because you'd be aware of this story kicking around that the Roosters, Sydney Roosters, want to purchase Salford and rebrand them as the Manchester Roosters. That's upset a few people here, as you can imagine. Paul Rowley, the coach of Salford, was asked about it as we tape this, only an hour before we're taping this. And I was on the virtual press conference. Here's what he had to say.
I had that article sent, as you know, Matt. I don't read too much, but this, I can't say I've not read that. I have, and some knowledgeable and well decorated people discussing it. On was it a news or a podcast, whatever it was. But so yeah, it's certainly very interesting, and I'm not aware of any detail, or I couldn't give you any insight into any if there is any truth in that from our side. I'm a part of a team and a club that's very, very proud of its heritage and very, very proud of its name, and it would be whilst wanting to adopt commercial at Manchester, which is a very, very sensible business decision on a corporate level, us being not separated but connected by one river. We are like twin brothers, if you like. Then we want to adopt that, and you look at Sale Sharks. They're the rugby union team of the north. They're the northern team, if you like. So I know, as you know, Matt, in Toronto, the Raptors, we the north is the strapline. So we can be the north, that's for sure. I think adopting the north is fantastic. Adopting Manchester's fantastic, but we're very much cut through the middle, Salford. So I'm very, very proud of that. So to relinquish that would be, that would be, I don't think that would go down very well at all.
And I also asked him myself. That was a question from Matthew Shaw, the first two questions. But I asked him myself whether he thought NRL Europe was a good idea.
I think a European competition is a good idea.
And with the NRL involved, or you don't have an opinion on that, or?
I'm a person who likes to see detail. That's where I am. I'm analytically minded. So to recklessly say one thing or the other, obviously the NRL is a wonderful organisation that has built an empire and in a great sport. Different demographics and situation over in Australia, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I need the detail on it, but some input from other sources would be advantageous, I'm sure, and knowledge or money, whichever way it is. So, but the game keeps striving for bigger and better, and whatever that looks like, then I support. So again, I need the detail before I commit.
I don't know if you read the story that was just gone up in the last hour about this whole Manchester Roosters thing, but I'll only ask you one thing about it, and it's different to the earlier question. Are there things you think they don't understand about the environment here? And if so, what is that? Based on what you've read.
Well, I've not read. I've just come in off the training, so I've not read anything, and I do not read a lot. I've seen the chat between Paul Gallen and a few of the other guys there. Like I said before, really experienced, well-respected people with a really solid opinion that people, and I certainly would value. Interesting that there was a bit of chat of they were trying to work out where Salford was and how close it was to Manchester. So straight away you've got to, this is like surface level chat.
So Tony, it's interesting. People here are very, very protective of history and boundaries and tradition and all that sort of stuff. So changing the name of a club isn't as simple as it is in Australia, where you can just bring back the Bears in Perth. And everyone goes, "Isn't this great?" So,
Yes.
so it's going to be interesting times if Nick Politis presses ahead with this. But then again, they're maybe the biggest name change in rugby league history, aren't they? From Eastern Suburbs to Sydney Roosters. So they pulled it off.
Yeah, and that did upset a few.
It's not really played that much in Manchester, so it's a big undertaking for the NRL and for Sydney Roosters. But something's got to be done to get into the bigger cities here because the game is struggling, and it's a small town sport with the exception of Hull and Leeds. It's played in towns on the outskirts of cities, and in some cases smaller towns in the outskirts of those towns. So something's got to be done, Tony. Interesting times ahead. I'm really happy that I'm here to see it happen. I mean, I was around for the first Super League war. It looks like I'm gonna get another one. Tony, your weekend scoops. Reece Walsh. You suggested that maybe he's better, or the Broncos are better when he's not in the team.
Well, yeah, I mean, his form has been the subject of a lot of scrutiny this season, and he hasn't been playing well. He goes out of the team, and Selwyn Cobbo moves to fullback. And I don't know if you saw the game, but it was played in the worst conditions we've seen in Australia in some time. The Suncorp Stadium was almost a water polo field, and yet it was 30-0 or thereabouts at half time with Cobbo starring at fullback against the previously undefeated Bulldogs. So I think the question had to be asked.
Yeah, and it is interesting. Be interesting when he comes back. Now, Tony, everyone was talking about the sin bins and stuff, and there was a lot of sin bins over here at the weekend too. Coincidentally, the two Magic weekends at the same time, and the two blitzes at the same time on headshots. So, the question is, I guess, this weekend. Now, maybe everyone's calmed down a little bit since the weekend. I don't know. Have you calmed down, Tony?
Oh, still a little pissed off, but I know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. Andrew Abdo's done the rounds. He was on both TV networks yesterday saying maybe we did overreact a little. I don't know why they can't read the room, the NRL, really. I ran a poll on my Facebook page. Has the game gone too soft? And it was something like 90% of people said yes. So they just can't seem to get it right. I mean, it's not that difficult. You only sin bin someone if they do something deliberate and something that really hurts someone, not an accidental tap to the head. And they just went berserk last weekend, ruined a lot of games, and pissed off a lot of coaches, fans, players, you name it.
Will the players sort of adjust their behaviour this weekend, or will the referees change their behaviour, or will it be a bit of both?
Steve, I don't think the players really can. You look at a lot of them, and what happens is a player will come in, tackle a guy around the waist, the guy's falling and hits the second tackler's shoulder. And it all happens in a split second, as you know. It looks horrible on slow motion replay, but rugby league's, played at breakneck speed. I think what's got to happen, and it will have already happened, the bunker will have been told, and it's not the refs that are the villains of all this. It's the bunker or the people who control the bunker who were obviously told last weekend, and in recent weekends it's been escalating. Any high shot straight to the bin. So I think we'll see a noticeable decline this weekend. I think we had 18 bins last week. I'm tipping it'll be less than half that this coming weekend.
Okay, we're talking about Tony's Weekend Scoops, which is a column he files at 9.com.au at the start of each week. Anything else you want to mention? Oh, you've done a little story about the women's origin on Thursday night as well. Anything else you want to throw in there?
Yeah, an interesting story in the women's origin. A young girl plays, making her debut for the Blues, whose name I now have forgotten, but she's a rodeo rider. She plays for the Cronulla Sharks, and yeah, she's looking forward. She's a big girl, plays in the front row, 110 kilos. Something else from the weekend too. Sandon Smith was the name on everyone's lips after the Roosters game. He broke all sorts of records, had a fantastic game, really came of age. Now, he is the first product of the Central Coast Roosters, which is another indication of the Roosters' plans to grow. So the Roosters have the smallest nursery in the world. So what they've done, they've created the Central Coast Roosters, which is a growing area an hour and a half north of Sydney. And Sandon Smith's actually the first product of that. So it's quite timely that the birth of the Central Coast Roosters can be linked to the Salford. We call them Salford. You don't call them Salford, do you?
It's pronounced Salford. Pronounced Salford. I noticed that Phil Gould pronounced it correctly the other night, which surprised me. But yeah, it's pronounced Salford. Same as Castleford. You say Castleford, you don't say Castleford. Anyway, that's enough for this show. That's the first of Tony's shows for the week. We'll be back with his big column midweek scoops tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, Tony.
My pleasure.